Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father loves me, so I also love you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and your joy might be complete. This is my commandment. Love one another as I love you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends, because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you, and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. This I command you, love one another." The Gospel of the Lord. I used this reference to the other 5 o'clock Mass, and for some reason, they didn't get it. But I know if I use this reference for this crowd, especially my teenagers, they'll get it. What is love? What's the first thing what they do? Baby, don't hurt me, right? Do you remember that skit from Saturday Night Live? If you don't, look it on YouTube. So what is love? It's probably the most overused word in English. And the problem is, in English, we only have one word. So some of my younger parishioners here love pizza. Right? You like pizza, Quinn? Yep. But don't you love your mom also? So you love your mom. So how do you distinguish between pizza love and mommy love? You don't know, do you? Do we really understand the word love? In Greek, there are 4 words that represent love. So when the Greeks speak about love and they use these particular words, you know exactly what type of love they're talking about. The first love is storge, which is the parent's love for a child. In those early years when the child is unable to reciprocate the love, they just sit there, eat, poop, and that's it. And during that stage, the parents love that child unconditionally. And then there's philia love, the love you have for your brothers and your sisters, for your family, your friends. So that type of love is philia love. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And then there's eros, the love that a husband and wife has for each other. But also, as St. Augustine talks about, eros is a love that somebody has a passion for. Like, I have a passion for pro-life. So my eros is to promote life and to protect the unborn and those who are ending their life naturally. So my passion is very pro-life. So you can have a passion for whatever cause it may be. And finally, that there's the agape love. And it's very interesting, the agape love, which is unconditional love. That means loving no matter what the circumstances are. If you love unconditionally like agape love, all the other loves are connected in that. And so when we are agape lovers, where we purposefully choose to be unconditional lovers, then we have to ask ourselves, for me to be an unconditional lover, what is love? What's the definition? And the one that I have heard, and the one I seem to like, is this: doing what's best for the other. Now that is not always easy. You've heard the expression tough love. I think tough love is the classic example of doing what's best for somebody, whether they like it or not. And tough love is difficult to do. Now, when I was teaching high school, there were times I had to be a tough lover in the classroom, and I had to give out that detention. And that kid would cry and be upset. Father gave me a detention. I had detention for homework. If you didn't turn in your homework, I would give them a detention. They would have to come back to class and finish their homework. I had the best homework return rate than any teacher in the school. When I started doing that, they all turned it in on time. I went from 50% to like 10%, all within 1 week. But it was tough love. I had to do it, right? Because we all know how important the religion class is in high school. In fact, the high school that I taught at, it was one of the things, it was our high selling point. We had one of the best religion programs in the Diocese of Los Angeles. In fact, we had the best freshman religion teacher ever there. I forgot his name. At any rate, so when we would talk about love in class, we'd always have, the various answers. In fact, I just got back from the juvenile detention center, and we asked the same questions to the detainees there, what they thought love was. I was so shocked. Within 3 milliseconds, one of the detainees, she gave the answer, the perfect answer, doing what's best for the other. I was like, wow. Then I asked, what about tough love? All these questions I asked, she knew the answer to all of my questions. I was so impressed. So we know that loving unconditionally is the hardest thing we can do, right? You know why? It's because now I'm going to ask the next part of that question. How do you love somebody you don't like? And I know you have a list probably longer than mine. I doubt it. I have a very long list of people I don't like. Now the question you have to ask yourself, are you on that list? Are you? So the first day of school, I would start off class like this. I would be very stern. I have a very serious face, which is really hard with freshmen because they're just like 8th graders. I would say, I want you to know that I love and I like all of you. But don't give me a reason not to like you. Of course, there would always be that one student that decided that I was not going to like them. But ultimately, what would I have to do to show love to this person I don't like? Ultimately, that list that you have, which is probably short or long, those people you don't like, how do you love them without liking them? And it's simple. It's so simple, it sounds kind of cliche, trite, is you pray specifically for that person to be in heaven with you. Now that is something you got to think about. The person you don't like, you're asking Jesus to make sure that person makes it to heaven, and when you get to heaven, you're actually going to like each other. There's that dislike is completely annihilated. So everybody we don't like, we will not only love, but we'll be head over and heels in love with everybody that we've ever met and beyond. So you need to put on your list of those people you don't like, you need to pray specifically for them to reach eternal life. Because to truly love somebody, to do what's best for somebody, is to wish eternal life on them. You can't wish hell on anybody. Because what happens if that wish comes back to you? Now you're really eternally messed up. So we all have those teachers, whatever it might be. You have to. Jesus commanded, I command you to love one another. He didn't say it was an option. But he didn't command, I command you to like everybody. Thank God. I'm not commanded to like, but I am commanded to love. And that love is to do what's best. And you have to pray for that specific person you don't like. And you have to pray and forgive them. Wow. I can't stand this gospel today. It's too hard. Absolutely. It's the hardest part of the gospel is the forgiveness and to wish to do love for your enemies or the people you don't like. Now, I have a recent experience, and this particular officer, he's on my list, and it wasn't a ticket, by the way, for me. But he's on my list, who I'm praying for. Because what he did was wrong. But he's on my list for prayer, and I pray that he reach eternal life. It's because that's what we're supposed to do. And that's hard. I have to admit, the first few hours, I didn't want him on the list. He wasn't going to be on my prayer list. But I knew, after reading this gospel again, I got to pray for this guy. And because Jesus asked us to do that. In fact, he didn't ask us. He commanded me. So now I have this list of people I don't like. And Jesus says I have to pray for them to make sure they make it to eternal life. I have to pray that God give them the graces necessary to be saved so that we can be friends in heaven forever. People I don't like. All those kids and friends and people that you meet at school who you became friends and then you're no longer friends. Now Jesus asked me to pray for them and wants me to wish eternal life on them. Absolutely. This is the hardest part of being a Christian, is loving. And to love those we don't like. St. Peter did not want to baptize those Gentiles. But the Lord had to show him in a dream, Cornelius is over there. I want you to go baptize Cornelius, the Roman soldier. St. Peter realized that Jesus was telling him to do what was best. He didn't like Gentiles. Didn't want to eat with them. St. Paul had to confront him in front of everybody and say, look, you have to eat with the Gentiles and they're not going to get circumcised. So get over it, Peter. That was tough love. Read it, it's in Galatians. For us, I want you to go home and write down that list of people that you need to pray for. I want you to pray a rosary for them. This is specific for the people you don't like. And you're specifically going to pray for them to be saved and brought to eternal life. That's your homework. That's your goal. And that's the way you should live.